Hello everyone, my name is Sagy Cohen. I am a professor at the Department of Geography and the Environment at the University of Alabama in the US. I also serve as Deputy Director of the NOAA Cooperative Institute for Research to Operation in Hydrology. And I serve as the Associate Chair of the Global Flood Partnership Steering Committee. So I was asked to give you a brief overview of the Global Flood Partnership, GFP. So today I'm going to give you some background about the GFP, the governance of GFP, some of the activities that we are conducting, and then some examples of the activations that we have taken in the past. Hopefully that will give you a nice overview of the GFP and will entice you to join the community, which is something that I think you can only benefit from. So GFP was officially launched in 2014. It is a group of scientists, operational agencies, and flood risk managers that are focused on developing more efficient and robust global flood management tools. Its aim is to actually provide a more seamless communication between different sectors or different disciplines within that sphere of flood response and disaster management. The GFP is truly an international organization. It includes representatives from national authorities, academia, research agencies, private sectors, both big companies like insurance companies and startup companies and so on. All of them working on a voluntary basis to improve and benefit the global community by improving flood risk reduction. One of the best ways to learn about the Global Flood Partnership is through that paper that I provide a reference here at the bottom that was published by Alfieri et al. in 2018. I encourage you to go and check out that paper. In terms of governance, the GFP Steering Committee is composed of 12 members, actually 11 at this point in time. And these are representing a wide range of organizations. Some universities, we have people from small companies, large organizations like the World Food Program, and we are trying to improve the diversity of the GFP Steering Committee. This year we initiated a new initiative of actual nomination and election of new members into the steering committee, and by doing so we actually increased the geographic and gender diversity of the organizing committee, and it is very important for us to continue doing that and make it a more inclusive and diverse governance body. The governance is fully voluntary. There is no base funding or any support that we get beyond in-kind contribution of time by people or resources by their institutions or their agencies. For example, our website is hosted by the Joint Research Center of the European Commission. The GFP hosts quite a diverse array of activities and community building. We have a fairly active mailing list that anyone can join, and I'll give those details at the end of the presentation. We have a website, globalfloodpartnership.org, in which we post announcements and provide information about resources and how to join the community and so on. One of the highlights of our annual activity is the GFP Annual Conference. It's a conference that's been hosted since the initiation of the GFP, with the exception of 1 year due to COVID and then one virtual year after that. The GFP Annual Conference is a 3-day event. It rotates across the world and usually hosts about between 100 and 150 participants. We also host webinars every few months, and we announce those on our mailing list and on the website. You see some pictures here from past GFP conferences. These actually underrepresent the number of people. Not everyone is in. For example, on the left, you see the one we hosted last year at the University of Leeds. We had over 100 people participated. On the right, this is the conference that we hosted here at the University of Alabama in 2017. So this is a great opportunity to come and meet people from very diverse background and nationality. And overall, I think people always give us really great feedback about the conference. I think it's a really nice mix. Another key function of the GFP is what we call activations. Activation is basically triggering a response from the community to provide information, data, forecast for a specific flood event that is actually happening or is about to happen if we have some warning. So the GFP can be activated as a community. GFP community can be activated upon request from anyone in the community. Basically, that person just send an email using the mailing list and provide and ask for resources. It can be fairly specific. Like, for example, someone wants some hydrological forecast or some flood maps or some remote sensing product and so on. Or they can just say, there's a big flood that's going to happen, or there's a big flood currently happening. Does anyone has any information or any product that might be of help to us? So it's very flexible. There's no set procedure. It's just, again, someone sending an email to the community and start activating it. In the past, it was a very active part of the GFP to initiate and actually respond to these activations. And again, it is all voluntary. So someone send a request, you can respond. You don't have to respond. No one asks you to respond. It's up to you if you want to contribute to that. One of the busiest years were in 2017 and 2018. 2018, for example, there were 8 activations, 3 of which were in response to some of these tropical cyclones, just as an example. And I'm going to talk about one of them, Hurricane Florence, here, just to give you a sense. Since 2018, we actually seen quite a dramatic reduction in activation for the GFP. I'm not exactly sure why, to be honest with you. This is something that I think we would want to initiate again or encourage the community to do that. Again, since this is all very organic, we don't really have control over it. And we don't want, as the steering committee, to activate the GFP if there's no real request for it by the people that actually needs that data. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So let me give you some examples of what do I mean by activation. One of the activations that really ramped up the consequence activation in 2018 was the GFP response to Hurricane Harvey in August of 2017. Now, obviously, this was a very catastrophic event, as we all know. And what I actually did, I was very involved with this specific activation. And after the event was done, I actually created a bit of a chronology and looked over the emails and the data that was sent and the response. And I presented this poster at AGU in 2017. And I think this was kind of nice to see, how things evolve and mature over time. Again, this was such a massive event. There was a lot of response from the community. I'm not going to go to all the details of that because I think it's quite dense, but this specific poster is available on the GFP website if you want to check it out, or you can send me an email. I'm very happy to send it to you. But again, what you see here is a time chronology of this activation and the kind of products that were provided by different members of the community for us. Now, one reflection on this specific activation or similar activations in the US is that it's actually kind of limited in terms of its impact, because in the US, the official agencies like FEMA and USGS and so on, they have a really limited ability to accept products from outside of official government agencies. So we've seen a lot of interest from FEMA and others about these products, but mostly they just ask us, okay, how did you generate this? How can we generate it ourselves? So it did help, but it was kind of hard to actually bring those products directly into the flood activation. Another example that I kind of provide here, this is more of again, another one of those time chronology to give you a sense of how this works, right? So there was another big hurricane in in September 2018, Hurricane Florence that was about to hit the U.S. and through some connection with NASA colleagues, they were trying to get some product out of us. So I believe I actually activated the GFP, just sent an email saying, look, this event is coming. Can you start sending some product to us? So landfall was on September 14, and September 15, we actually officially activated the GFP. We got some flood maps from the Dartmouth Flood Observatory, and we started sharing those data with the NASA Disasters Program. And between September 17 to 20, so quite a few days, we actually kept getting product from the community. So again, this is kind of an overshoot of some of the data that we got. Once the event is happening, a lot of the interest is in remote sensing data. So people want to get remote sensing flood maps, and we got a few of them produced by different members of our community using different platform, different sensors, and so on. And some of us also involved in augmenting those remote sensing data. So usually, as it is in most cases, you get before the event, there's a lot of interest in the forecast. And we do have members in our community that provide forecasts both globally and in different locations, more high fidelity in different locations around the world. And oftentimes people are very, very happy to give those forecasts or to help people disseminate those forecasts to whoever is interested. And then obviously once the event is actually happening, then we start getting the remote sensing. And after the event, a lot of time there's also interest in sort of hydraulic simulations to see what the impact was and so on. So it's very diverse, very organic. No one really controls this. There's no guiding hand to say, oh, you should do this or you should do that. And potentially this is why this has become less active for us at the GFP, because it really requires buy-in from whoever is going to use this data. So as I said, the GFP activation is not as been as active as it was before. We did, using the JRC, initiated the GFP support service, again hosted by the GRC. And this allow us to host the data more efficiently and connect between people more efficiently. But once again, if there is no real activation by someone who actually want to use this data, or someone that let us know that they want us to do something, then the community is not necessarily going to do anything. So keep that in mind. Maybe this is relevant to you. Keep that in mind as a potential resource that you can use in future events. Now, one thing that I want to say in terms of the benefits of the GFP support service or activation, it goes both ways. Obviously, the data users can often benefit from data in real time, from the latest technology sometimes, or sometimes from very established frameworks. But also the researchers can benefit a lot from being involved in these kind of activation. And I know I have tremendously, because it's, as you all know, it's one thing to actually develop a tool, and it's a whole different thing to actually try to use it in real time or near real time on a real case study, and finding out all the kinks and why this didn't work so well, or it taking too long, or it's vice versa, very efficient, it looks really good, it's well accepted. Oftentimes you do get feedback from the data users. They may like it, they may not like it, but again, as a researcher, you gain a lot from it, and it can actually help you in your publication as well. I know I've used my activation product in some publications. I definitely highlighted it in some of my presentations. I think that bring a whole new dimension to you as a data provider, as a researcher who developed these kind of tools. So I want to finish here with some information about how you can get involved. So as I said, we have our website, globalfloodpartnership.org. I would really encourage you to go and look at it. There's one of the web pages is Contact Us, and this gives you instructions of how you can join the mailing list. It's a Google group mailing list, so obviously there's no cost involved in any of that. The mailing list is not super active, so don't be afraid of joining yet another mailing list. You're not going to get emails not even once a week. It's not something that's super busy. We try to keep the traffic to a minimum, but we do encourage again the community to engage with one another. So a lot of the time you'll see in the website we post a lot of things. We also post them on the mailing list. We also now have a new Twitter account. Also feel free to send me an email. And I'm going to finish with advertising our next GFP conference. It's going to be in Singapore in September, so it's quite close. Registration is open and is free, so hurry up and register and propose a talk. You can give a presentation. We have a poster session, we have oral sessions, we have lightning talks, and we have something we called Marketplace, which is a good place for especially sort of data providers or someone who develop a really cool tool to have a booth. It's basically a computer or a poster or something, but it's a way to have sort of this more one-to-one interaction with the community, so people go from booth to booth and talk to people. It's actually a very lively and a very nice event. So the Global Flood Partnership Conference, it's a really, really great conference, and I've really enjoyed going to it. This year is in Singapore, which I assume for some of you is going to be closer than usual. For some of you, it's going to be very far, myself included. But I'm really looking forward to seeing you there. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. Thank you.